If you're a content creator, aspiring, active, veteran, what have you, I implore you to make a video by November 30th. Talk about an anime show, film, or manga that doesn't have a video essay about it on YouTube.
Fine. I'll do it myself.
Hi, how y'all doing tonight? My name's Masaki. So the show I'm gonna be talking about today is one that I alluded to in the first episode of my Weeaboo Diary series. I said it was a story for another time. However, I never thought that I would have the chance to talk about it this fast. But considering the timing of this nice project, I simply had to seize my moment and show the community a bit of my culture. The second I heard about this challenge, I knew immediately what show I wanted to talk about. As not only is this show never talked about, it is also one of the most treasured shows since it really speaks to my Latin American community, and it was a big part of my childhood. So without further ado, let's talk about this gem of an anime you probably never heard about, called Ghost Sweeper Mikami. So a little story about how I found out about this show. Like I said in my previous video, it was one of the very first animes I've ever watched. I was like 5 years old when I watched this show for the very first time back when I lived in the small country of Paraguay. So for some reason, the show was extremely popular there at that time, and I have no idea why. Because ever since I left Paraguay to live in the States in 2004, I never heard or seen anything about this show again. About 8 years from that time, I started getting into anime again, and I remember I randomly saw a gif of it on the internet, and I was like, oh, I recognize that! It's that show I used to watch as a kid! What was it called again? Back then, I didn't really have any weeb acquaintances, and I didn't even know how to Google search information on a GIF or image. But I did have that pesky GIF deep in my laptop, so that one day I could ask someone if they recognized it, and I eventually found someone. So out of pure joy and nostalgia, I was finally able to watch it again. And man, all those memories came rushing back to me like no time had passed at all. So to give a bit of an introduction, Ghost Sweeper Mikami is a pretty self-explanatory show. It's about this mature lady called Mikami, who is the best ghost sweeper in Japan. The anime series has a total of 45 episodes that cover the first 9 out of 39 volumes of the manga. Besides that, it has a movie that takes place after the anime series ends, and it even has 2 video games, dude. Not 1, 2. Not to mention the fact that this manga actually ran in Shonen Jump, and the anime was adapted by Toei Animation, which is now infamous for stretching the crap out of One Piece. But back in the day, they did a pretty decent job of publishing weekly episodes of long-running anime. But enough of that. What are my thoughts on it? Is the show as good as I remember? Well, now you're bound to find out. So without further ado, roll that intro. So the first thing that I always vividly remembered about Mikami is how much of a hot protagonist she was. Now that I think about it, Mikami was probably my first female crush for the same reason. I'm not even joking, guys. Mikami was the original Boa Hancock. She basically had the same personality trope of, I am beautiful, so I can do whatever I want. Even though in real life, I don't like women like this. Not like I know anyone who does, honestly, but that's not the point. Somehow, it's amusing to see it in fiction, so I generally really like both characters. But that wasn't her only personality trope. Mikami is the greediest woman you'll ever see in anime. She loves money more than she loves her own life. And I really like how the intro song, of all things, really shows that as well. The show is an episodic series that follows her adventures with her trustworthy, yet underpaid and perverted assistant Tadao, and the lovely ghost companion friend Okinu-chan. It's an old 90s anime, so it has that old school lovely aesthetic to it. It's a shonen anime filled with 90 tropes and comedy from that time. If I had to say, it's a show that really reminds me of Inuyasha and Yu Yu Hakusho, since it's full of not only ghosts, but ghouls, vampires, and all sorts of very colorful yokai, which makes for a very fun but simple premise with some surprising ecchi innuendos. For my rewatch years ago, I remember that the only episode that had some lewds was the pilot. Afterwards, it was completely censored. But that didn't stop Mikami from talking about how beautiful and hot she was all the time, while also showing off her body to get anything she ever wanted or needed. Nothing inappropriate for a child though, right? I mean, I grew up with it and I turned out fine! But jokes aside, that's more of a subjective discussion to have. I do want to clarify one thing, however. There's nothing extremely perverted in this show. As a child, I understood that all the seduction scenes were just that, seduction. The comedy of the show also helped tone down the show to a level that doesn't really take itself too seriously, so neither should you. All of that said, don't misunderstand Mikami, ladies and gent. She's an independent woman who don't need no man, but honestly gets really easily annoyed and impatient with everybody. A true introvert. Unfortunately for her, however, she's the kind of character that attracts enemies that sometimes end up becoming her friends, her liking it or not, who sometimes join along in her adventures. The cast of characters is really colorful and varied as well. I really like this robot assistant that this one old alchemist scientist have, called Dr. Chaos, that he takes with him everywhere. She was always so adorable to me. I really wish I had taken notes of my rewatches for this series when I was a teen, but unfortunately in my dumb teen head, I thought that it was unnecessary because I already put it in as a number in my journal. So I can't say much more than what I already did. But still, I'll read my diary entry anyway so we can talk about it a little bit more. Firstly, I entered it as Anime X, and I quote, "No, this is not an anime called X, cause apparently there is one. This is my favorite anime as a kid. It was, as I recall, about a very sassy though hot greedy samurai woman who fought demons and monsters. She had a guy friend who was in love with her. I tried hard to remember his name, but I just can't. I really want to watch it again. I remember that I loved it immensely and watched it over and over. Looking back now, I think it was kind of inappropriate, but it was still cool." I would say that that's pretty accurate to how I feel or felt at that time. When I rewatched this show, I had the eyes of nostalgia that everyone else has when they're revisiting anything from their childhoods. So in my head, the show was this amazing, perfect thing, which wasn't true, but unlike the disappointment that many people have when they are nostalgic about something and revisiting it, I actually genuinely enjoy revisiting this series. It's nothing short of a bunch of great, harmless 90s fun. It's definitely outdated, and a lot of the jokes and references don't land today as they did back in the day. Even with all of that said, I genuinely recommend this show. This is the kind of thing that you can watch any random episode because it doesn't have a storyline aside from the few arcs. If I had to compare this anime to anything, like I said, it would be similar to the story elements and shonen genre of Yu Yu Hakusho and Inuyasha. But it also has a connection, at least in my perspective, with the popular shoujo anime that some of you may know as Sailor Moon. The reason why it reminds me of Sailor Moon is because the show was created with the same intent of making an anime for girls. With girls that were not also pretty and nice, but also could kick some major butt. And I feel like Mikami was created for similar reasons, since back in the day, we didn't have many shows with strong female leads for kids. Though the tone and characters are much different from the sweet and innocent girls of Sailor Moon. Mikami is a mature woman, in more ways than one. And even though I had a crush on her as a kid, I didn't really see her as a sex object or anything of the sort. Far from it. Just like Sailor Scouts, Mikami is an extremely empowering character. She was extremely smart and funny, not to mention again, very independent and extremely strong, both physically and mentally. So she was a protagonist that could really fight, and that's what I loved about her. But unfortunately, I would say the Sailor Moon is more popular, however, because Ghost Sweeper Mikami never really made it into the US, except for the movie, which was the only thing that was dubbed. Later, however, the anime was published on YouTube with all English subs, but that was in the 2010s, way after the show's prime, which honestly makes me sad, because it was a genuinely great show with all the elements needed to make it into a classic. I don't know why it's not well remembered in Latin America either. Maybe it's because the edginess of it, but that's really the only guess I have. The last episode isn't very finale-like, aside from the last 30 seconds, where it breaks the fourth wall saying, "Thank you for watching our show. We hope to see you again." Which is something they did every once in a while, but yeah, that never happened. Which generally makes me sad, as anyone who doesn't get a second season of the favorite show, because it was definitely good. It even won the Shokugan Manga Award in the Shonen category in 1993. But alas, it's something common for good shows to not continue in the anime department. At least the manga is finished, so if I ever have time to read it, then I definitely will. Overall, I'm happy I found it again. It really will forever have a special place in my heart as one of the first anime I ever got into. And who knows? Maybe after some of you have watched this, I was able to pique your interest into checking it out. Again, you can find all of the show's content on YouTube for free. So if you have time, check it out. I guarantee Mikami will be able to vanquish some of your evil spirits that you might be having and send them back to hell. So yeah guys, that's my video on Ghost Sweeper Mikami. Thank you all so much for watching. And thanks again to Pause and Select for making this Novid challenge. I can't wait to see everyone's different submissions from this project. Especially Beyond Ghibli's submission, because I seriously love that man's content. If you like this video, please subscribe to my channel and click the bell to be notified of new uploads. I upload every other Saturday. Not enough for the month? Don't fret. If you want more videos, you could always go to my sister's channel, Dara the Shallot. She talks about everything entertainment that is non-anime. So if you have more of a variety taste, you can see some great videos from her as well. That being said, I hope you all have a wonderful evening. See you later, cousins. TTFN.